Hey there, welcome. Listen, this simple exercise saved one of my clients 12 hours a week. And not only that, it made her nearly $3,000 back in payroll expenses. Another was about to renew a full time social media manager. But with this exercise, I'm going to walk you through, she realized she didn't need to spend $30,000 on that role. Listen, the way I designed this exercise is to help you as the CEO not just evaluate as it relates to people that you need on your team to scale faster and more efficiently, but more importantly, the roles you need filled based upon the skills required. It's not just the people, it's the skills. And this exercise is going to help you boost your productivity because everybody on your team is in their respective zones of genius, the way I teach you to do team, right? And it's also going to help you eliminate waste because you're going to likely find that you've been overpaying when you look at what every team member is actually producing. And then it will also help your team make you more money. And if you have a large team right now, this is for you because the more gaps you're likely to find, which is super great, right? Because once those gaps are identified and filled, your team will be more efficient and actually profitable. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what this exercise is, and I'm going to show you how to look at your business like an Inc. 500 CEO. Yes, I said it. Let's get grounded in that kind of energy, right? That is who you are. You are an expert, right? Because I want you to confidently evaluate your team and make adjustments, whether that's letting go of certain people who aren't moving the business forward or hiring others or both. But before I walk you through this exercise, I want you to understand that the biggest obstacle in your business is you, is the way you're approaching team, right? To your credit, at some point you realized that you needed help. Brava, right? You realized that you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed. And so to solve the problem, you thought, I just need to hire somebody. But the problem is you're busy and you're not sure about this whole hiring process and you don't know how to train. And what's worse, you don't have time to train. Am I hitting any bells here, right? The people that you hired, those that you thought would solve all of your problems are now sucking the profits right out of your business. And you're wondering, what the heck are they even doing? You're too busy to look over their shoulder, and you don't want to be that type of leader that micromanages, right? And you're thinking, wait a minute, I hired them because they impressed me on the interview. They had the experience to do the job. And so you think, well, they should just know what to do. That's a problem. Listen, if that is you, I understand. And there was a time that I thought that too. But having run several successful businesses over the past 20 plus years and working with hundreds of powerhouse women over the past 6 years as a coach and mentor, collectively generating millions and millions of dollars, you need to know that as the CEO, you must lead your team. You've got to show them what success looks like. And proactively and regularly, you've got to manage their progress to ensure that every team member, either directly or indirectly, drives revenue into the business. Did you catch what I just said? Because this is super important. So please hear me. Your team should not be costing you money. They've got to bring money into the business. And that will not happen without intention. And that's going to be the topic about hiring with intentionality and making sure that your team is profitable. That's going to be a topic for another video. But today we're talking about making sure that your team is as productive as possible. Now, if you've had a team for a while, you need to know that you are especially susceptible to inefficiencies. Why is that? Well, because the longer your team members have been with you, the more you all start to do things like, well, we're just doing it this way because it's how we've always done it. And then when we get in that mindset, kind of that rote, well, this is how it's always been done, our efficiencies go way down and you're getting less and less bang for your buck. So we need to stop the cycle of you and everybody on your team just being busy. And instead, we have to focus on productivity. So today, I want to share with you this exercise that's going to allow you to take that all-important 30,000-foot view of your business so you can evaluate your current team. Or if you're still running your business as a solopreneur, right, you're going to learn how to evaluate your business so you can confidently identify the roles you need to fill in order to 5x productivity. Because When you do that, that's going to significantly increase your profits. All right. I want to take you through this exercise called the Dream Team Protocol. When you complete this powerful exercise, you're going to know who your next hire should be, and you're going to get clarity around how to optimize the team you already have. So are you ready? Are you excited? Let's go. First, you're going to evaluate the tasks that are still on your plate, because I bet you are doing things that as the CEO, you should not be doing. And I don't care if you're a solopreneur or a team of 10, okay? You are wearing too many hats. I have no doubt you're doing too much. Okay. So first, you're going to brain dump an exhaustive list of everything you're currently doing in your business. Now, when I take my mastermind clients through this, they do a week-long time audit beforehand, because we want to be sure to capture every single thing you're doing. It's so easy to do something and you forget about it because you're like, oh, well, that just took a minute. That was no big deal. And then another, and then another. And only when you take the time to slow down, write that down. No matter what level of business you're in, you need to take the time to slow down. And when you do that, and you implement this time audit that I just briefly mentioned, right? You're going to realize that all those no big deal, just took a minute activities add up to 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, and more. So as you brain dump, you're going to brain dump all the things you're doing. And this is, whether you've done the time audit or not, but I just want you to brain dump at least 15 minutes, brain dump everything you're doing. And when you think you're done, you're not. Take another 5 to 10 minutes, because as you sit and think, additional tasks will inevitably come to mind. So I want you to think about what you've done today already. I want you to think about what you've done last week. Okay, whatever. I want you to get specific. Look at your calendar, and maybe that'll jog your memory. I don't want you to miss a thing. Okay, because with this exhaustive brain dump, now that that's done, it's time to identify the tasks that you will delegate. Now, stay with me, because if you already have a team, at the end, I'm going to take you through an additional step that I want you to do for every one of your team members. But for now, we're looking at your brain dump. We're looking at your activities. Okay. So then next, I want you to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to draw 2 vertical lines. So you're going to, you have your brain dump of all the tasks that you're doing. Now you have a separate piece of paper, and you've made 3 columns. Okay. The far left column, I want you to write CEO tasks / keep. These are the CEO level tasks that you need to keep on your plate, right? In the middle column, I want you to write I hate or not good at / delegate. Those are the things you're going to delegate, right? You know that they shouldn't be on your plate. You don't want to do them. Great. The third column on the right, this one I want you to title I enjoy but / unsure. These are the things that you realize your gut says it's not a CEO task, but it is something that is currently on my plate. So the question is, should I keep it or should I delegate? Now, a brief word on CEO tasks. I want you to think here, would Jeff Bezos be doing this? Right? CEO level tasks are high level. You're not in the weeds. Okay, let me give you 2 examples, because I really want this to land. It's so important. The CEO maps out the funnel. Somebody else sets it up and installs it. Okay, CEO level activity, mapping out the funnel. Everything else related to setting it up goes to somebody else. Another example, the CEO decides the promotional calendar for the business, but somebody else on the team manages the individual projects and promotions to ensure that all the steps get completed, right? So clearly, depending upon where you are in your business right now, there's some flex here. But I want to encourage you to keep less and less and less on your plate. And here's why. Because you, as the CEO, you need time to power think. What does that mean? Power thinking, write this down, is strategizing the big picture, spending time with the Lord as you do so. You need time as the CEO to do this. Okay. So with this piece of paper and the columns, you're going to take the brain dump And one by one, put the tasks on the brain dump in one of these 3 columns. Okay. That task is either a CEO task, it's a clearly not for you, delegate, or if you're unsure, put it in that 3rd column. Now, when we're done, we're going to focus on the unsure column, that 3rd column. Okay. And because you have to decide, we have to get everything off of that 3rd column into either a CEO task or a delegate. You with me? And if not, drop a question below because I'll be coming back. All right. So when you have done that, I want you to congratulate yourself because you've done work that like 92% of business owners don't even know to do. And they're struggling with their team. And because you've done this, you won't. Okay. So you're well on your way. Now, next, I want to focus on this delegate column. First, I want you to look at all the tasks on the delegate column. We're talking about tasks here. That's what we brain dumped. I want you to look at those tasks and separate them by skill set, right? Admin, financial, operations, sales, marketing, whatever it is. And I recommend that you take a different color pen and circle, like pink for sales skills. I'm going to like, these are the scale skills and these are the ops skills, because this is the most important step that too few take. Why am I telling you to mark off similar skill sets? Well, because that's how you walk away knowing exactly who you need on your team, right? This is key and nobody else talks about it. It is not the titles that determine who you need to hire. It is skill set. Write that down. You hire based on skill set. So let's say the activities, as you look at it in your delegate column, you have admin, ops, and marketing. Great. Now, depending what the tasks are, admin and ops could possibly be the same person since there is some overlap there, right? But the marketing skill set is very different than either the admin or the ops, right? Marketing may require some expertise around copy or messaging, or maybe Facebook ads instead of flex again to your needs. But now you know you need at least 2 people, one for the admin ops and another for marketing. Does this make sense? And if you're looking at high level operations, then you'll need 3, an admin assistant, like a director of ops or someone at a higher level ops level, and then the marketing. Now, I can just hear what some of you may be saying right now. You may be saying, I was thinking I would just hire an admin for like X hours a week, let's say 20 hours a week, and have her do everything because it just feels easier, right? Just having one team member. I know that feels easier, but it is not the best for your business. You would be better off hiring an admin ops for 15 hours a week and a marketing specialist for 5. Why? Because a generalist, the admin ops person, is not skilled at marketing. So they couldn't possibly do as good a job as a marketing specialist. So saving money is going to cost you much in the long run. And so what will happen is you're going to have to train the admin on marketing, which will not go well. Why? Because you don't have time to train. You don't want to train. And frankly, you may not even have the skill set required to be able to train well. Okay. So remember, we hire by skill set, not by number of people on your team. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute. I often hear the gurus out there say that my first hire should be a VA or maybe even a social media manager. No, no, no. That is just not true. That is so lazy to say that. And we can't speak in generalities here. And what I'm about to say is going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. Until you make $250,000 a year, you do not, all caps, underline, you do not need a social media manager. No way. Why? Because you, at that level, cannot turn over content creation to somebody else. Okay? You can't. You have got to take the lead on content creation because as you do, you're going to identify your unique approach. You're going to flesh out exactly what makes you different than anybody else in your market. And you're going to carve out your category of one. And so if you think somebody else will figure all that out for you, you are dead wrong. And trust me, you will be throwing tens of thousands of dollars away today and allowing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to slip through your fingers. Because the pretty of social media will not convert strangers into buyers. Only the substance of your content will do that. Words matter. Nobody knows your business, your unique edge, your angles, your convictions, etc., like you do. Now, one of my clients was about to hire a social media manager. And at that time, she was at the $200,000 level, $200,000 in revenue level. She had been working with a social media manager for a couple of months, 9 months, I believe. And despite having spent $2,500 a month, and despite having a very beautiful feed and gorgeous stories, her engagement was flat, opt ins were only trickling in, and sales off social were next to nothing. This client had unintentionally, she didn't realize it, but what she had done is just what I mentioned. She left the messaging and the positioning completely in the hands of her social media manager, whose expertise was not that. Her expertise was on the pretty and on the posting. Okay. So the social media manager was not worth $2,500 a month. And so my client let her manager go and she saved $30,000 the next year. And so what happened is, and you really need to hear this, my client created the content and had her admin assistant take care of posting. They developed SOPs so everything was done efficiently and very cost effectively. And most importantly, because my client was in charge of creating the content, her messaging was speaking directly to her best client. And guess what happened then? More engagement, a lot more people opting in, and signing clients off of social finally happened. So if you have a social media manager, let this be a lesson for you. When is the last time you evaluated what the work of your social media manager actually was producing? All right, now I want to talk to those of you who already have a team. What can you do to make sure you have the right people in the right roles? First, I want to reiterate that I want you to do the same exercise that we talked about early on, evaluating the tasks still on your plate, because as CEOs, we've got to protect our time. Time is our most precious resource. And as you scale, you need to be ever mindful of what you're spending your time on. Because as you elevate, your CEO tasks should more and more be shrinking. Why? Because you're going from the doer to the manager to the leader to the CEO. Okay. You're no longer a doer. And the higher up that chain you go, the less and less doing you should be doing. Okay. Now let's examine what your team is doing. For you, I need you to take a sheet of paper for every team member, right? A team member for a piece of paper. And at the top, I want you to write their name, their role, and their monthly pay. And then under that, I want you to identify that person's responsibilities, because every team member needs to own an aspect of the business, right? It could be marketing, it could be client success, it could be SEO on YouTube, right? I want you to identify what that is. Now, if when I say that, you're like, I have an admin and she does everything, that's a problem. Now, maybe in the earlier stage, that makes sense. But as I said earlier, not necessarily, right? The gurus say start with that admin. But I need you to brain dump all of the things that the admin is responsible for. Is it managing your inbox, client success, doing Canva graphics, video editing, whatever it is? I want you to, just as we did before, group like skill sets. And on this example, client success is a very distinct skill set, very different from video editing. Okay. They're entirely different skill sets. So hear me, you do not want a jack of all trades to manage your client success. No. So, all right. Now, for each team member you have in front of you, the one area of the business she owns. And also under that, maybe the things that she's responsible for. And now here comes the fun part. You're going to confirm that each and every team member is actually driving revenue into the business, either directly or indirectly. Okay, now you're like, how do you do that? Okay, you are either going to determine the number of hours that you are able to reclaim because that team member has taken things off your plate, and or determine the revenue that that team member generates. Okay, we're talking cash in the bank monthly as a result of her efforts. Now, of course, the cash in the bank is going to vary month to month, but I want you to analyze the impact of every team member, either on monies coming in the business and or hours given back to you. Okay. And here's the big takeaway on all of this. Every team member must, write that down, must, either directly or indirectly, drive revenue into the business. Indirectly is they take 5 hours off of your weekly calendar so you can spend that time doing revenue generating activities. Does that make sense? If not, pop any questions down below. Okay. But what I've just taken you through is the Dream Team Protocol. This CEO power thinking and analysis is so important because if you don't do this, you're going to make hiring mistakes, you're going to overspend on your team, and you're going to continue to work more and harder than you need to. Okay. You've heard the process of evaluating your team's productivity with the goal of 5xing their results. So, my question for you now is, are you committed to doing this exercise? Tell me in the comments right now, yes or no. I will do it. Or if they have a question, let me know that as well. Now, one last thing. For those of you thinking, I can't afford to hire, I need you to ask yourself a different question because the quality of our life and our quality of our business is only as good as the questions we ask. So instead of thinking, I just can't afford to hire, I want you to ask yourself, what is this costing me not to hire someone to take this off my plate? And if you are a solopreneur right now and you're looking at this exhaustive list of things on your plate, well, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're exhausted, you know what it's costing you in so many different ways, emotionally, mentally, not to mention what's going on in the business, the impact you have on clients because you're overworking, etc. Okay. Now, if you want my expert eyes on your business, I have 3 spots available this week for a team and revenue audit. Together on this audit, you and I are going to go deep into your revenue and your team. We'll look not only at what your team is doing, but what they're producing for the business. And the goal of the call is to show you exactly how to find $25,000 in hidden potential inside your business and reclaim 5 hours of your time each and every week. So again, I have just 3 spots left this week. Secure your spot right now by dropping audit in the comments below, and we will set up your team and revenue audit. All right. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.